Thank you very much, Maxine. And I've got to say, it's quite an odd sensation sitting there listening to people talking about yourself and thinking, oh, I've actually got to walk across there, make sure I don't fall over on the steps and remember what I've got to say. Thankfully, I actually have it written down. So, firstly, as others before me have already said, it's a tremendous honour to be recognised in this way. And it was a particular surprise for me, given that I believe I have a relatively low profile in the public sector. It's also been a very humbling experience to listen to some of the stories of some of the other awardees tonight. And I feel very, very privileged to be considered in that same category. Economic reform doesn't normally feature quite as strongly as some of the things that we've heard of tonight. So I do feel rather privileged. When I first started thinking about law, and just by way of background, I'd actually studied 3 years of law as part of my economics degree at another university, who shall remain nameless. They don't have as good an alumni program as UTS. So I was actually really excited about the prospect of going back and studying for a second time, a second degree. But at that time I was working full-time as an economist advising Treasury traders in an investment bank. And that job involved very long hours and it was very inflexible. And UTS at that time was the only university that was actually offering law courses to mature age students on a part-time basis, and that actually facilitated this by having lectures in the evenings. Now, for someone who was working full-time in a fairly demanding job, that was a really innovative approach by the university. So I was actually very, very pleased to be able to do that. But I must say that the start of my studies were less than auspicious. And at the welcome to the faculty session, the then dean asked us to look around the room and said, the chances are that the person standing next to you won't be there by the time you finish your degree. So less than 50%. The next point was the dean asked us to choose the person that we were sitting next to be our study partner. And at that point, the person that I was sitting next to, who has since become has been a very good friend in all these years, turned to me and said, no, I'm not going to study with you because you probably won't do anything and won't achieve anything, so I'd rather be on my own. So ironically, she actually dropped out of law and became an artist. So she's still a very, very close friend. So at that point, I was much more concerned about just surviving this law degree and this experience. And it was very far from my mind that I would one evening be standing here accepting such a prestigious award. So with the support of and the encouragement of some truly excellent academic staff, and Catherine at my desk at the table just reminded me, Michael Evans, who is one of our lecturers, a terrific person encouraging us. And many of the staff, the academic staff, also had full-time careers as legal practitioners and still gave back to the university. So with that encouragement and support, I managed to do more than just survive and have had a wonderful career in law. But without the flexibility and the encouragement of the law faculty that it offered, I and many others that were in a similar situation would not have been able to make a successful career of law. So thank you very much to the UTS, to the law faculty, for what I consider was a very innovative and bold approach to study that many years ago, and the very positive attitude to the pursuit of excellence that I still see in the university now. So thank you. You saved me from a life of financial markets trading, and I swapped that for a life where in any one week I might actually be looking at the issue of what makes free-range eggs free range, to the latest love scam, to some of the questions that affect the biggest corporations in Australia and indeed globally. And I won't actually mention any in case they're there. So you did save me from a life of trading 10 basis points in the dollar up and down to making some truly important decisions. And more importantly, it did allow me to follow what I believe is a true passion, and that's to use the skills and expertise and my degree for the service of the public. And just on that last little note, I would actually like to acknowledge and thank my partner, John, who not only encourages me in this life of public service, but actually shares that passion and commitment and indeed does it. So thank you all. Thank you very much.